Hi, everybody. I was sitting here and I was watching Super Nanny. Now, you all that know me, follow me, and know that I don't have kids. I have a great nephew. Well, actually, I have two great nephews. And I do have an associate's degree in early childhood development. But that's not why I'm watching that show. I was watching it just to blow time initially. And this family, this dad's getting ready to go off to war. She's got 7 kids. She's gone to mine in 3 weeks by herself. She was having trouble. And potty mouth was a real problem. And the super nanny, Jo Frost, she said something that made me think. She was talking about how when the children hear potty mouth from their parents, they're teaching the children, how to communicate with each other. When there's a kid around, you don't say things you might normally say. But is that really how we should talk to each other? And it got me thinking, how do I communicate with my family? Do I get frustrated and blow them off? Yeah, but should I? Just like I would have patience with my nephews, great nephews that are 6 and 3, I should have that same patience with other people. Just like I might be polite to a stranger, why is it okay for me to be brisk and snappy with my mom, with my sister, instead of talking politely? How do I communicate with my family and my loved ones? And how is that different than how I communicate with the outside world? Or, even better, how I communicate with myself or God. I mean, I've prayed at times. To me, prayer is not formal. It's just like I'm talking to you. But there's times when I've gotten snappy and I don't understand why I have to go through with this. That's not giving myself respect to me. If I'm not willing to give and if you're not Christian, however, look at it this way. If you're not willing to give your spouse the respect of a kind voice when you'll give it to a stranger, I don't have a spouse, but I can learn from these things. Even if I don't have kids, I can learn. Because communication is the first tool that talks about you. How you dress is another way to communicate. Your attitude, even if you don't say anything, sometimes you can tell when someone's in a real rotten mood, right? How do I need to change these things so that I'm represented in a way that I want to be looked at? Do I want to be looked at as just someone who is not worthy of respect? If I'm not treating myself with respect by purporting myself in a positive light and using words that are more beneficial to how I wish to be seen, how I wish to communicate with others, if I'm not showing my mother respect because I'm short and snappy with her, even if it's because I'm in a lot of pain or don't feel good, does that mean she deserves that? No. She wouldn't have let me get away with it as a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old. Why should I get away with it now? And what does that say about how I talk to myself? Do I have self-respect enough to talk to myself in a positive manner so that when I think of me with more self-esteem and self-respect? I never thought about it that way before. But man, my grandparents, if they were here, I wouldn't backsass them. I know better. So why do I backsass my family? Just because I'm not feeling good? They're human. They're not going to feel good times either. What does that say about how I want to be seen by others? How I see myself? What kind of self-respect is that showing if that's the face that I'm giving? I don't know if this makes any sense to everybody, but I was really thinking about it. And I'm going to get off here and write down a list of things that I think is positive about the way I communicate, including the way I dress, the way I speak to strangers, the way I speak to my family, how I communicate by what do I do. Do I just sit there and watch my great nephew play Nintendo instead of getting involved and, hey, jump over that, even if I feel like a fool, and encouraging him and getting out if he wants to go for a walk, going for a walk with him, or whatever, playing frisbee or whatever? Or do I just, okay, we'll go outside, we'll go to the park, and then I sit on the bench because I don't get around well? That's an excuse. To me, that's an excuse. I may not get around well, but children adapt. I can still play with them. I can still interact with them on their level. Maybe I can't kneel down to look them in the eye, but how will they know I love them if all I do is sit in a chair and watch them play? Sit in a chair and watch him play Nintendo instead of being right there going, hey, it's my turn. It's not bad to be a little childish once in a while, depending on how you do it. By the way, he cheats at Mario. He'll try to take your turn if you can. I introduced him to the world of original Nintendo. My niece comes in the house and she goes, that thing still works? I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not going to say that I used to play Atari when I was your kid's age. She'd probably look at me and go, what's Atari? But off the topic. But if I want to command respect from others, any others, then I need to give it to myself, to my family, especially to my family, to the ones who see me at my absolute worst, who I love the absolute most, to my God, and to the world. Am I afraid of strangers? Oh, you bet. I have an almost consuming fear of getting in trouble and strangers. And I have to really put on a brave face. But who am I lying to when I put on a brave face and don't tell the ones I'm closest to, I need a little help here? Because part of my self-respect for me is admitting when I need help and getting that help. And if I'm in a situation where I need to do something and I don't feel I can push myself because I'm afraid of strangers, I know it can go to Mom and go, how can I make the stress in this situation less? Not only because she's my mother, or because she's wicked smart, which she's both, but because she respects me. And she respects that I can ask her for help. And that makes me feel good about myself, but I also feel good about our relationship because I can communicate. Before I moved out into my little apartment, Mom and I couldn't communicate on a good level. We both learned a lot of lessons in the 3 years I was in that apartment. Now we're communicating. And I feel better about myself because I can communicate with my mother, one of the closest people to me on this planet. And I feel more self-respect for myself because I can communicate with my mother in a positive manner. I couldn't always do that. And that's not all on her. I take responsibility for the good, the bad, the ugly. I ain't perfect, but that doesn't mean I can't improve. In fact, my mom taught me that. But how can you improve? How can you improve your communication with yourself and the ones that are closest to you? And the way you communicate now, try to look at it from the outside point of view. Would you be proud? I'm not always proud about how I communicate. I'm trying to stop the cursing. I say things like bugger it, or balderdash, fiddlesticks, nuts. Anything to clean up my language so that I can respect myself a little more. For me. Which helps the other people in the world respect me too. If you ain't going to respect yourself, how can you ask it of anybody else? I hope I gave you some food for thought. I'll see you guys later. Bye.